Hi guys, it's TechBoy here with another video. This video is my top 5 iPhone 6 rumours based on what has recently been happening in the news on the internet and all that. Before I go into this video, I just want to go over a quick disclaimer as I have recently. This video was made late July 2014. If you have not watched it yet, watch my top 10 iPhone 6 predictions video, which will be the first link in the description below, because this is building on top of that really, because I did that a few months back and this is really more like updating that video. All leaks are leading towards a 4.7-inch iPhone 6 being released. There's been no concrete leaks for a 5.5-inch model, but many people are still anticipating that it will eventually happen. If not in September, it will eventually happen. There's still no rumours on a 4.0-inch iPhone 6 model, but I still hope they release one for the people that do like that screen size. Announcement and release date is most likely going to happen in the early to mid-September time of year, like the past few years. And this is ranked based on recent rumours, how likely it will happen, and what we as users want. So let's get into it. Number 5 is separate release dates. They may not even release them or even announce them at the same time. So the 4.7-inch would be released a week after the announcement in September, and we honestly do not know what's happening with the 5.5-inch model, because either they're making that many few of them that there's been no leaks of the handset yet, or they're not going to be releasing it for another few months or so. So I've really got two theories about this. If the 5.5-inch model is announced at the event, I reckon it will be released either late October or early November to give it a separate release date so they don't compete with the 4.7-inch model, sort of like what Samsung's doing with their Samsung Galaxy S5, and when they released the Samsung Galaxy Note 4 later this year. They're almost roughly 6 months apart, so it helps to keep the release cycle and up-to-date news and all that for all those handsets. So maybe Apple could be going down this route. So if the 5.5-inch model is not announced in September, I reckon they will announce and release it in March 2015 to give it 6 months after the 4.7-inch model. But then you're going to say, well, it's in 2015. You don't want to have a 2015 iPhone with 2014 specs. Precisely. So what I expect them to do is to add the A9 chip to the phablet, and it should have one other extra unique feature to justify the extra cost, because it's going to cost more anyway, being a phablet and a larger screen and a larger battery and all of that. That's what they'll claim is the reason for it being more expensive, but this is what I assume will end up happening. Then the A9 chip would end up going into the 4.7-inch model in September 2015, and they'll put all the other new technologies in that, and then when it comes back to doing the phablet in March 2016, then they'll put more of the updates from the 4.7-inch model into the 5.5, and then it's just continuously updating each other, but having one stand out at the time of the release of the product itself. So that's number 5. Number 4 is the camera. So it sounds like, based on recent rumours, I'll leave a link for it in the description below, is that it sounds like Sony's wanting to release a better camera to help Apple out by making a better camera for the iPhone, by bumping up the camera's megapixels from 8 to 13. And the leaked component, which is in the image in the top right of the screen, is the Sony XMR IMX220. I couldn't find the component part for the previous iPhones, but I do know for fact that Sony did manufacture the rear cameras, at least, for previous iPhones. I believe it was for the iPhone 5 and 5S. I'm not sure about the 4S or earlier. An Ultra HD 4K video recording still has a slim chance of happening, but I would expect they will only do it if they release a 4K television anytime soon, or have a toggle switch to lower the quality of the video, or bump up the storage to 128 gigabytes, because 4K video does take up a lot more space than regular 1080p video. Number 3 is iOS 8 and the unique features. So the 4th beta is currently out as of when I was recording this video. iOS 8 will be on the new iPhones, and a software update will be coming over the air around the same time of the new iPhone announcements. But it should have some unique features on the 5.5-inch model, or even on the 4.7-inch model, to make it stand out from what the 4.0-inch screen-sized iPhone can provide. So, not having the set grid system for the 5.5-inch iPhone, so all the apps can be at the bottom of the screen for easier navigation and better single-handed use and all that. Widgets and Notification Center is a great addition, and I absolutely can't wait until I see the AFL app updated with live scores in the Notification Center itself. The Health application is an app in iOS 8, and I still reckon the iWatch will be out this year, but I can't tell if it will be announced in September or October. If anything, I would be inclined to say it will be announced in September, mainly because they'll want you to think that it's a companion that goes along with the new iPhones and all that, and then they'll start to do all the manufacturing and all that, so then leaks don't come out for the device or anything, and then hopefully release it to consumers around October, early November, in time for the holiday Christmas shopping season. Check out my WWDC 2014 Roundup video, and that video basically summed up all of my thoughts and feelings on iOS 8 about a week after WWDC itself, and I still have those same sort of feelings towards it today, so that would be a really good video for you to check out, and you can click on that link in the description as well. Number 2 is A8 processor and battery life. So it's now rumoured to be a 2.0 gigahertz dual-core, yes, dual-core processor, whereas the iPhone 5S is 1.3 gigahertz dual-core. And the reason that one was faster was because it got the 64-bit, whereas this is just a clock speed upgrade. I am by no means a hardware or gigahertz calculator expert in any way, but just by looking at the numbers that I just showed you before, that's a 65% increase per core, which means up to 130% increase in processing power, and 100% increase basically means twice as fast. So I can almost guarantee that when Apple announces the A8 chip in the new iPhones, they will say it's up to twice as fast, just to save their asses and all that. I'm sure they are doing it at the moment, but maybe only turning on the second core when needed for games, since basic day-to-day tasks on the phone, like messaging, phone calls and web browsing, doesn't really use that much processing power, because if they are using 2 on the iPhone 5S, that's 2.6 gigahertz happening at once, whereas using 1 core in the A8 chip would be 2.0, and it still would probably be just as fast if they can manage to optimize the software for that processor chip. It's still rumored to have a die shrink from 28 nanometers down to 20 nanometers. For the people out there that want to do a comparison, Haswell chips, I believe, are around the 22 nanometer mark, and the new Broadwell chips, which have still not been released but will probably be out sometime next year, which will happen in the backup dates, is going to be 14 nanometers. But anyway, the die shrink will result in less power consumption for users, which could be really useful because the 4.7-inch iPhone is expected to have an 1810 mAh battery, which is, to be honest, very small compared to Samsung phones and all that. I mean, they are larger phones than what the new iPhone is expected to be, but it's only a 16% larger battery over the iPhone 5S. But the screen is rumoured to be around 18% larger, so You would expect the battery life to be about the same unless they can have better optimized software so it's less power hungry, and the die shrink helps a lot in less processing power to save the battery. So that's what I'm expecting for processors and batteries. And finally, number one is the unique feature. So when I'm saying the unique feature, Tim Cook even admitted it during the recent earnings call. It was for the iPad and all that, but they're basically saying there's not enough compelling reason for people to upgrade their phone or their iPad because you could do a lot of the stuff that the new one can on the previous phones and iPads, obviously. So you got to create a new unique feature that is only for that to get people to upgrade, like the Siri on iPhone 4S and the Touch ID fingerprint sensor on the iPhone 5S. Sapphire Crystal display would be a really good addition because it will be a scratch resistant display. MKBHD's video was really great, and I'll leave a link for that below. Before they did the follow-up and shattered it with a bow and arrow, and basically, in a nutshell, it's not going to survive a bow and arrow, but it will survive day-to-day usage. Optical image stabilization was rumoured, I believe, for the 5.5-inch model only, but time will tell. 802.11ac Wi-Fi, I just saw a leak or an anticipation rumour for it this morning. I'll leave a link for that below. Same goes for near-field communication, was in the same post. Maybe mobile payments with NFC and Touch ID would be a killer feature. Solar panel built into the display to not lose battery charges quickly, so it would still have a battery in the phone and all of that, but when you're not using the phone, if you just kept it upright on the desk or something in direct sunlight, it would charge your phone, or at least keep its battery life at that level and not battery die as quickly, so then you could probably get more than a single day of heavy usage out of it. Start at 32GB for the same price as the iPhone 5S 16GB, and instead of the 64 being the highest, they'll have 128GB. It's a possibility. And if they were to have a jaw-dropping feature on the next iPhone, it has to be software related, because as proven with the iPhone 4S with Siri compared to the iPhone 5S with Touch ID, there were that many leaks for Touch ID on the iPhone 5S because it had this different physical appearance change, whereas Siri, there were rumours for it, but there was no way of actually seeing any leaks or icons or understanding the functionality or anything like that. There wasn't really anything like that before the iPhone 4S was announced, whereas with the iPhone 5S we knew basically everything about it except how many fingerprints it held and what it was going to be used for, apart from unlocking the phone, that is, prior to that being announced. So the next iPhone has to have a unique feature on top of having a larger screen if it is wanting to sell a lot of units, and same goes with the 6S when they eventually release that, or whatever they call it, in 2015. Or they could just have a better battery. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. The question for you, the audience, is 4.7 or 5.5? That's the question. So which iPhone screen size would you prefer if they were the only two options to choose from? And you can let me know by leaving a comment below. And if you enjoyed this, please give it a like. And if you choose to, subscribe to my channel. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you later.